Louis Pasteur was born on December 27, 1822, in France. He was a biologist, microbiologist, and chemist known for his discoveries of vaccination, pasteurization, and microbial fermentation. He discovered that microbes were responsible for the storing of alcohol and came up with the pasteurization, a process in which heating beverages and letting them cool down destroys the bacteria. Due to that, he designed an experiment to test if the sterile nutrient broth could be able to generate microbial life. In order to do so, he took 2 flasks and added nutrient broth. He bent the necks of the flasks into S shapes and then ended up boiling them in order to kill any microbes present. He then broke off the swan neck in experiment 1, which led the broth to be exposed to the air, and in experiment 2 was left as it was. As time passed, particles of dust fell into the broken flasks of experiment 1. On the other hand, in experiment 2, the particles remained trapped in the curves, keeping the nutrients broth sterile. That led the broth in the broken flasks to quickly become cloudy, which was a sign of microbial life. However, the broth in the unbroken flasks remained clean and normal. In conclusion, the Louis Pasteur experiment refuted the notion of spontaneous generation. The theory of abiogenesis was concerned with studying the origin of life from non-living matter. This hypothesis was studied by the Greeks of antiquity, but was put in check by the Italian doctor Francesco Redi. He executed an experiment that clearly showed what worms appeared in corpses and rotting foods not because life comes spontaneously, but because flies laid their eggs on those dead materials. In order to obtain a result, he distributed pieces of meat in jars. Francesco sealed only some of the jars with gauze. He then noticed that in the containers that were not sealed, many worms appeared, while in the sealed ones, no. And that happened because the flies could get into the dead flesh and animals freely. However, this experiment was not enough to convince a biogeneticist like John Needham. In 1725, he stated that there was a life force that made life arise spontaneously. The experiment he undertook to prove his thesis was made with a nutritious broth, which was placed in jars and sealed with a cork stopper. He boiled it for 30 minutes. Even with the fins, microorganisms appeared in broth, supporting the position of Needham, who believed that the fins and boiling were sufficient to prevent an entry of living beings. Pasteur Spallanzani repeated Needham's experiment, but did not achieve the same results. For him, boiling and corking were enough to prevent the entry of microorganisms into the broth. Needham defended himself by saying that prolonged time in the fire caused the nutritious broth to lose its life force. The abiogenesis theory was only to fall apart with Pasteur's experiment.